Hey everybody, it's Erica, and I decided to start my live right when the FedEx's truck was going by. So hold on. I don't know why I just chose this as my spot for the first live, and I've decided just to keep it going that way. So come out wherever you are. Hello, Huntington Tutoring. Thanks for joining us. Always appreciate you participating. Yeah, so I'm gonna chit chat until we get a few more people that have joined in. A little sneak peek. I'm going to be doing sort of an economic overview, which sounds really boring, but I actually watched this YouTube of this economist who's like the I don't know, the big kahuna when it comes to economists, real estate economists in Texas, and he had a lot of information, and so I was kind of taking some notes and boiled some of it down, and wanted to share it with y'all. Hi, Mom. Thanks for joining. So yeah, also, in case somebody finds this later, at 1 o'clock, I am having an interview with Boss Babes. Boss Babes Houston, I think it is. Huntington Tutoring, you know? You know the official handle on that? Maybe you can post it for me. Anyway, so I'll have to prepare for that for a little bit. Last night, unfortunately, I woke up at 2:30. My husband went to the restroom and I could not go back to sleep. And my little Nellie, she snores like an old man. And I finally had to drag her out and put her in a different room. But by then I was hungry, and so then I ate a snack. So I was like, well, maybe I'll fall asleep after that. But then my mind was like just all over the place. So I've been awake since 2:30 this morning. So I'm a little tired. Also a little bit grumpy because I'm trying to get a survey and really just get a refresh on a survey that's only 2 years old, and that should not be a major task for anyone. But this particular surveyor, I have been tracking him down for over a week, and he gives me just enough to make me think he's going to do the job, and then doesn't come through. And now I'm up against a deadline, and that irritates me. So been dealing with that this morning and other things. So but y'all don't want to hear about why I'm grumpy, but I'm just saying I might be a little grumpy and a little tired, but it's okay. We'll get through it. So hope everybody is having a good week. Hope things are normalizing a little bit. Hello, West Chase Flower Co-op. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like things are definitely busy for us in real estate, and that feels really good. It can be kind of hectic. It's been very busy the last few weeks, but I had a moment to breathe maybe yesterday or the day before, maybe like the calm before the storm again. So, but yeah, we won't complain about work. A lot of industries that are very negatively impacted, and you'll hear how ours has been impacted shortly. But by and large right now, thankfully we're staying real busy. We do a lot of work with friends of friends, referral, word of mouth, that kind of thing. That's the whole nature of my business for sure, and it's what I teach to my agents too. And so I feel like that really is a big hedge of protection when the economy kind of tanks, because the agents who just sat around and waited for business to come to them, like, it's probably not coming to them in droves right now. Maybe a little bit. Again, we'll get into some of that in a minute, but definitely, I think any sales business, just building relationships and staying in touch with people is the way to have longevity and see yourself through hard financial times. When I got into real estate, the economy was awful. The big mortgage meltdown had happened, and everybody was having to bring money literally to sell their house. It wasn't even like, oh, you're not going to make money. It's like, hey, by the way, you need to bring 30 grand to sell your house. And that's just not a fun conversation to have. So I have survived through and really started out in some rough times. And so I'm thankful for that. So when things like this come up, COVID, when we were really just kind of shut down in the beginning. It's a little disheartening, but you know that the business is cyclical, and you keep making your calls, you keep reaching out to people, and you trust that it's going to come back. And sure enough, that's what's happened. So that's good. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today, I'll kind of get into the meat of it, is sort of some economic forecast information, how COVID has affected the real estate market and that sort of thing. So let me just get my handy dandy notes. So one thing that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of is, this will be very interesting long term, is kind of a suburbanization again. So when I was a kid, my parents, Mom, you can agree with me or disagree, everybody wanted to live in the suburbs. They wanted to be in the nice big house with the good schools. You could have pools and activities and soccer and football and all that kind of thing. And if you had a job in town, then you just had to commute. And that was awful, but it was worth it because you got to come home to a really nice, pretty place. Then my generation was like, forget that. We do not want to spend an hour on the road each way. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and live in the city. And you know what? We don't have to have the big fancy house, and we can have a smaller space. And all right, Mom agrees, I'm on track. We want experiences. We don't want to lose 10 plus hours a week on the road when we could use that time to go biking or do fun things. And you've also seen a lot of, I'm being careful how I'm saying this, so make sure I don't offend anybody, but, a lot of fathers that have been really active. So whereas kind of with industrialization, the head of the household, he went to work in the city and, came back, and now the dads are like, well, I want to get to see my kid too. So, both parents being in a place where they don't eat up all their time on the road so they can hang out with their kids has been very important. Okay, so that sets the stage. But what's happened now is we've gotten really good at Zoom in a very short period of time. My neighbors are probably like, why are you talking to yourself? And so I think that's really going to change things. I think that people are going to realize, I really don't have to go into the office and interface with folks every single day. What if once a week I had several meetings that were very targeted? I got in my FaceTime, I did lunch with my coworkers or lunch with a client, and then the other 4 days of the week I'm working from home or something like that. And so, or maybe now, with Zoom it's really great, so I can commute during off hours and then I can be home and do meetings by Zoom instead of sitting in 5 o'clock traffic. And so I really think this is going to change the landscape. It's probably going to change the landscape of a lot of things, but I think you're going to see more people who are open to being further out now, knowing that they have tools available to them. The other thing is, I think that with a lot of people being sick with COVID, feeling like, man, I'm on the 20th floor of my high rise, you know what I mean. Hi, Maritza. Thanks for joining. Maritza is my preferred stager. She's amazing. She's actually going out to a client today for me, so I'm excited about that. And my client said, quote, I'm expecting the Dead Sea Scrolls. Hola! Because I warned her. I said, Maritza's very thorough, so it's going to be a long list. Don't be scared, but it's going to give you step by step exactly what you need to do. Nancy Jane! Hi, Nancy Jane. Thanks for joining. So yeah, Maritza does a really great job. So Nancy Jane is a fellow realtor. So I was just talking, Nancy Jane, about how I think that with COVID, we're going to see potentially some more, hey, Becca. Thanks, Nancy Jane. We're going to see some more folks that are going to want to head to the suburbs because now they've got Zoom and all these cool tools and realize, you know what, I don't really have to go into the office every day. And Nancy Jane personally knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can ask her about that. And then two, I think people, they want space. It's like, when everybody's sick, I don't want to be living on top of my neighbor and worrying that I'm going to catch something. And what if this is just like COVID 2020 and then we got another strain in 2021 and I'm going to go through all of this again? I don't want to be on top of people. And three, Becca, don't worry. punctuality is not my strong suit. And 3, it's like, okay, well, if we do have another quarantine, I want to be in a place where I love my home, I have places to walk around, I can pluck weeds, I can get fresh air, all that, because if things get shut down, I don't want to be cooped up again. So I think we're going to see that. So suburbanization, that's point number 1. So as far as the prices and kind of some of the economic forces that we're seeing right now, keep in mind interest rates are super duper low right now. So we're seeing a lot of refinances and a lot of people that, you know, maybe 6 months ago, they couldn't afford a $250,000 house, but now at the interest rates, they can. You know, I think the American government knows that one of the quickest ways to stimulate the economy is to drop the interest rates, because this little, you know, stimulus that we're getting from the government, I think it's $1,200. That buys you a little bit of time. That's a nice bit of money for a month. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I thought maybe that was a wasp, but it's not. But if my interest rate is lower and now maybe my payment is, you know, $100, $200 less than I thought it was going to be, that's some real money, and I get to experience that savings every single month. So that's a good thing. And now that I have $200 extra in my pocket every month, well, I'm going to go spend it. I'm going to go eat out, you know, have some margaritas and help stimulate the economy. So anyway, interest rates help stimulate the economy because we like to own homes. And so I think we are going to see, well, we are seeing right now a lot of buyers that are pretty excited about that. A lot of folks that, you know, they weren't going to move for another year or so, but with the interest rates dropping the way they are, you know, like I just closed a client recently. She's like, let's just go ahead and do this. I'm going to stretch my dollar. So we're seeing that. I think also, you know, a lot of my millennial friends, you know, people give millennials a really hard time and, like, you know, they don't know what they're doing and they don't have their stuff together. The reality is a lot of millennials are super strong savers. Again, kind of like we talked about, because they don't necessarily want the big house and, you know, all this kind of thing that is going to just rack up a huge bill. They would rather live more conservatively, maybe in an apartment for a while, save up a bunch of money. Maybe they hopped on the whole Bitcoin thing. We've had clients that have done that and, you know, use that to fund the down payment of their home. And so they can be really great savers. But what they're seeing is that the stock market is super volatile and super scary. So I think we are going to see more folks who are choosing to invest in real estate as well. So what happens when the supply is consistent and now you have increased demand because the interest rates are low and because people are afraid of the stock market? Well, that's going to naturally drive the prices up. So, you know, when all this first kind of hit, we were seeing some price reductions, and I think it's really easy for people to be like, oh, that's it, you know, prices are just going to plummet. But I don't really think that's accurate. I think you're seeing, like this economist pointed out, a small sample of people who maybe they were in a situation where they needed to make a move, and recognizing the economic climate, they knew that if they wanted to get their house sold, they were going to have to be really aggressive on price. And so to just look at a little isolated snapshot kind of right after the whole COVID news and say, yep, that's it, you know, I mean, prices are just going to go down, is really not very well informed. And like we just talked about, we've got a lot of people that are entering the market because the rates are good and because, again, they're afraid of the stock market. So I think what we're going to see, something we've been seeing for a while, is kind of that lower third, the $200,000, $250,000 houses. I mean, we keep growing, and people need places to live. So I think those are going to continue to be in very high demand. You're also going to have your investors that are going to want to pursue homes like that. The luxury market, I think we're going to struggle a little bit more because obviously in Houston, oil and gas is our backbone. And we've all seen the price at the pumps, so which is kind of exciting, but then kind of not, because, you know, it means that our community is suffering. So those folks, a lot of folks that had second homes and, you know, moved up to the big giant home might be having to rethink some things because of their job. And so I think those luxury price points we're going to see sticking a bit more. And then in the middle, kind of 50-50. We're not really sure yet. Time is going to tell. So again, I think obviously the more conservative the price point is, then the less effect you're going to see on sort of the uncertainty that COVID and the kind of economic effects that it's had as a result are going to impact buyers and prevent them from buying homes. That was a really rambly sentence. I hope y'all were following me on that. Okay, and what else did I want to say? Well, so one other thing. I literally live under a rock. Like, we don't watch TV. It's kind of bad, but somehow I managed to pretty much find out about anything that's really important. But I just don't want to get swept up into all the paranoia. That's just, and let me be careful because I know this is a super sensitive subject. I am not diminishing what COVID has been and all that kind of thing. We just like to watch enough to know what's going on, but for us, if we watch too much, then it's really easy to get sucked into despair and worry and anxiety, and that's just not good for us. So we are on a very minimal and monitored news diet, if you will, only on a need-to-know basis. So anyway, but this economist that I was listening to, I alluded to earlier, was kind of talking about his concern for investors. I thought he made a really important point. He said, the value of a contract has never been so low. If you own a rental property, the government's telling you, if your tenant can't pay rent because of COVID, well, too bad for you. It's like, but I have a lease. A lease survives death, and now I'm not allowed to collect rent from my tenant? That's really scary. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. So anyway, it was just a wise point that I thought that he made. And he just talked about the fact that we're going to have to kind of right some things that might have been steered a certain way as a result of all this, obviously out of good intentions. So anyway, an interesting point. Again, I don't want to get into a political debate, especially not surrounding COVID. But that is just a phenomenon that we're seeing. So it'll be interesting. Like, are investors still going to want to load up on rental properties? Or are they going to be scared that another COVID is going to happen and that their rent roll is going to go to zero and they're going to have to foreclose on everything? That would be scary. How might that affect rates for loans for investment properties when the lenders know that this could happen and now their clients, the loans that they take on are higher risk for defaulting. So anyway, but I guess to sum it all up, COVID's been super scary. It shut things down for a while, but thanks to low interest rates, and thanks to people's dismay with the stock market, I shouldn't say thanks to, really it's unfortunately as a result of, we've got a lot of buyers. We've been super busy the last few weeks. Nancy Jane, I bet you've been super duper busy. You are so smart. You're so smart and awesome. In fact, I had to pick Nancy Jane's brain a few times recently. So I love that when realtors help other realtors out. Nancy Jane's husband actually married me and my husband, so she's definitely one of my favorites. But anyway, yeah, so I would not think that prices are just going to plummet. We're busy. The buyers are out. It's going to put some pressure on the prices. At the end of the day, if you're looking to buy or sell, you should chat with your agent so that they can advise you. They can look at what's going on in your little neighborhood. Love the hearts. Because to just make general statements about like, oh yeah, the economy's doing great. It's always a great time to sell. It's always a great time to buy. That's just really uninformed and not helpful. So you need somebody that's going to get their hands dirty and dig in the data and help you figure out what's going on in your neighborhood. And if you just want to know kind of for your own knowledge, sort of what the market's doing to kind of have a feel, we're not supposed to use the word value. That's why I'm stumbling over my words again. But if you kind of want to know what you think the market price for your neighborhood or for your home in your neighborhood might be, you should ask your agent. Be like, hey, I just kind of want to get, check the blood pressure, check the temp, see how my investment's doing. Good Agent will be happy to help you. We would always be happy to help you. So anyway, I hope that you have found this little session informative. It's one of my drier sessions, if you will, but fun times at 1. I'm getting interviewed. Yeah, Becca, Houston Boss Babes. Houston Boss Babes, yeah. So they're going to interview me at 1, which means I got to go prepare because I told y'all I've been up since 2:30 in the morning and I'm not exactly my sharpest right now. So I got to figure out what in the heck I'm going to say, but it's going to be fun. They've already sent me some interview questions, so I kind of know what's coming at me. And if y'all are around at 1, I'd love to see your smiling faces again. So, all right. Thanks again for taking part in Threshold Thursdays. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.